Sally Quinn made history as the first woman to anchor a CBS News morning show in August 1973. After she left CBS, Quinn returned to a successful print career at the Washington Post. It's funny to see you in Hughes Rudd because he said he liked you because you were meaner than a junkyard dog. Okay. And I took that as a compliment. Yes, okay.
That is where she met her late husband, Ben Bradley. He was a Post legendary editor during the Watergate era. What's interesting about you is I knew about faith. I didn't know about hexes. I didn't know about premonitions. I didn't know about all that other stuff, magic included.
I had been an atheist and started a religion website at the Washington Post, which already was a sort of a weird combination. And I started studying religion, and it became clear to me that all religion is magic. And I had been brought up in the South where, you know, the Scottish Presbyterian stones and the ghosts and the psychic phenomena and voodoo and all of that was sort of part of my embedded religion, as well as being a Christian and believing in God and believing in Jesus. I became an atheist when my father liberated Dachau and took pictures, and I saw the scrapbooks, and I couldn't believe that God had let this happen. And I was 4 years old. This is in World War II, that I became an atheist. But as I started studying religion, it became clear to me that faith is really all about magic. That magic and all of the things that go along with magic are just another name for whatever faith you might have or whatever religion you might have. And that I respect, they're all just as legitimate as the others.
You grew up in a military family. As you mentioned, your parents were of Scottish descent and Presbyterian Christian background. But how did you learn voodoo, and who did you place hexes on?
Well, when I'm growing up in the South, and we had, as I said, the Scottish Presbyterian, but also the staff in the house were black Christians who went to Baptist church, but then they would practice voodoo on the side.
So you learned voodoo.
So I did learn voodoo. And, it's the kind of thing where it's
Should we be nervous?
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I only raise it because you say that you put voodoo, some spells on people, 3 of them.
And
that they passed. They did not have a pleasant end, Sally.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Be nervous.
Well,
they're dead.
Yes, this is true.
So I'm just saying. But I mean, it is very, you're raising very good. Let's talk about you, Miss Sally. Mm-hmm. The word is you could have had any man you wanted, and they said they used the man's private parts. If you wanted it, you got it. That you went after the boss.
How many of you know what an incubus and a succubus is?
But you went after Ben Bradley.
I fell in love with him and realized that it wasn't going to work because he was married and had children, and so
he was older. Yeah.
And he was 20 years older, so I accepted a job as the first anchor woman in America right here at CBS News.
There's a spirit which I believe is the spirit of Jezebel, which I firmly believe is demonic and far stronger than we may estimate in our modern age.
Talk about being on a plane next time. I'm going to try this technique. There was turbulence.
Yes.
You grabbed his thigh and you said you didn't let go even after the turbulence ended. But there was a connection clearly.
The original Jezebel, the spirit's first noteworthy victim, Queen of Israel, was devotedly religious, but was at total enmity with God. She worshipped at the altar of Baal, worship of the flesh. Modern-day Jezebels may indeed believe they are serving the one true God. However, the true hidden agenda is self-worship.
I had sex with Donald Trump.
There are new reports that came out this week that Beyonce is the new owner of a church. This church is a stone-structured 7,500 square foot house of God in New Orleans. Now, the church was reported to be more than 100 years old and was listed for $850,000. It was also reported that the church was built in the early 1900s, but had been out of commission as a place of worship for a while due to its members passing away.
Are you ready to actually worship Beyonce? San Francisco Cathedral will hold a special Beyonce Mass. Grace Cathedral announced that it'll host a mass devoted to Beyonce's music and to her accomplishments. This comes after the singer's popular performance at Coachella at the Arts Festival on Saturday night.
The rising New Age, Gaia, Goddess, Mother Earth movements why we see God portrayed as a woman.
Beyonce's Mass, if you're interested, is next Wednesday night.
Sing praises to the goddess herself, Beyonce.
San Francisco's Grace Cathedral looked and sounded more like a concert than a church for a first-of-its-kind Beyonce Mass.
It was amazing. It was one of the best spiritual experiences I've ever had.
It was fun. It was uplifting. It was also really rejuvenating.
People wrapped around the side of the cathedral an hour ahead of time to attend the blockbuster Mass. Normally, the Wednesday night Vine service has 50 people in attendance, but with Beyonce in the house, this service had 750 people.
We live in a world today that is being dominated by a feminine spirit. It is being dominated by a goddess spirit. That goddess spirit has begun to move itself into the lives, the families of everybody in this country and throughout the world. Let me warn you, when you walk out that door, you walk out into a culture that is absolutely opposed to everything that God says in that Bible. This is the kind of groundwork that is being laid. It is the groundwork of the goddess, Gaia, witchcraft, Wiccan, and all of this other stuff that's out there in the ministry today all over the world and all over this country that people are getting on a regular basis when they go to the church house. Instead of getting the gospel of the grace of God, how that Christ went to the cross and died for your sins because you're a sinner, you're going to get everything in the world other than that.
Little girl lost. Thought no one loved her. Thought no one wanted her. Ran away from her castle. She was embraced by the devil in his false love, and through that embracing became a different person, became the harlot, became the queen of lies, the Jezebel. That's my life. Growing up, I just remember my dad just raging. I'd come home and my dad would be really angry, stressed out, and I really took it personal. Thought to myself that I must be unlovable. High school, noticed that the boys were paying attention to me, and since I wasn't getting any attention from my dad, I gravitated toward any compliment, any pass that was made at me. I met this boy in school that stole my heart. He told me if I slept with him, we'd get married, we'd make a life together, we'd have babies. And I completely took my entire heart and gave it to this boy. And when I found out that he was sleeping with several of my best girlfriends, it was such a shock to me. Left high school, heartbroken, moved out of my parents' home the day after I graduated. I remember waving at my mom when I was 18 and my dad and in the back of the car, knowing I'd never come back because I was done. I found like a new thing inside of me that if I had nice clothes, if I went out to the clubs, I could meet different men that liked me, and maybe I could meet a rich guy that would sweep me off my feet and take care of me like a prince would. And so my girlfriend and I started going out to the nightclubs, and we had a fake ID. And one night we walked in. These men walked up to us at the bar and bought us drinks, Rolex watches, designer clothes. I looked at my girlfriend. These guys have money. My girlfriend starts to like one of the men. I told my girlfriend, get that guy's money. And I think what this really was building inside me was this vendetta, this deep-seated, rooted unforgiveness, and I just wanted revenge. I was going to prove that I could make it in my life, and money was going to be the answer. My girlfriend takes off with this guy, goes to Hawaii. She calls me up and says, listen, I'm in a drop-top Corvette, and I'm on my cell phone, and you need to come out here. I just kind of went with it. It was like an automatic walking into a dark doorway, and I felt that I knew something wasn't right. Just come over, but the lure of the possibility of having nice things and finally having money that I never had growing up, finally being someone important, overrode all those feelings of any caution, and it blew it to the wind. And I went to Hawaii that very week, took a vacation from my jobs, and the first night that I was on Waikiki Beach, I actually sold myself with my girlfriend to some Japanese clients, and I became a prostitute, embraced by the devil and his false love. And a few months later, I started dancing, and one day I was on the stage, and this man walks in, puts this couple $100 fan of money at my feet. I danced just for him, came to Harlem. And I let him know that I was actually prostituting my body. I was actually selling myself to make extra ends meet. He looked at me and said, "You are so intelligent." He gave me everything, that's my life, that I needed to hear from my dad. And I decided that I wanted to move to Las Vegas, the Queen of Lies, the Jezebel. I got off the plane, and that night I went on a couple calls. I brought home a nice wad of money. My boyfriend was there, and he told me to break myself. What did you say to me? He said, break yourself. And that means give me all your money, dump your purse out on my lap. And I wasn't having it. And he proceeded to take me out by my hair. He choked me. He threw me on the porch on my knees, and he started kicking me. My nose broke, my ribs broke. It was like I was looking at the devil. The prince turned dark. And if you try to leave, I'll kill you. That night, it's like I died inside. And the next 5 years of my life, I was with a pimp. And every time he hit me and choked me and raped me or put guns to my head, made me do things I never wanted to do, I started freebasing cocaine. And one night, I just decided that I was just going to get higher than I could, than I've ever been before, because I just wanted to erase all the pain. I took the hit of that coke, and I fell back. I went completely blind. It's like the whole room, the light that was on in that room turned dark. And I remember laying there, and I felt like this demonic presence just come over me, that I was completely alone, and I got really, really scared, and I just instinctively knew. I knew that I was at death's door. I was in this dark, dark cave, and I knew it was over. That's when I said, Jesus, I don't know if you're real, but I don't want to die.